The topic that I does it work? Okay. The topic that I chose for my perspective speech is immigration. Well, guys, my name is Iskia, by the way. Okay. There are so many. The majority of people think. There are, the majority of people think that allowing immigrants to the United States it could help us in so many ways. But there are still people that think that immigrants should not be allowed in the United States because of there are not qualified people for visas and green cards and all that kind of stuff. Well, what I think is that allowing the immigrants to the United States, it could help us in so many ways, as I said. One of them is because of economic growth. I think that people from different countries bring many unique skills. The more people that arrive, the more skills that arrive. So the alienation of immigrants can be catastrophic. The effect for the economy will be negative and will probably affect the U.S. worse than anything before. It could literally cause our rich and developed first world country to revert back into a third world country. Because of immigrants and the innovation and skills they bring to this country, many billion-dollar businessmen and stocks have been created. They have helped employ many Americans and make many other Americans very rich so they could go on and employ others. Immigrants have created companies such as Google, Pfizer, Carnival Corporation, and DuPont Paint, and all help to employ a combined total of millions and millions of Americans. Because immigrants should be allowed in the United States because of diversity and culture. Immigrants bring diversity and different cultures to this country, which helps promote a better image of the United States to other countries and expand business and trade with them. Different cultures in the nation provide new ideas and the opportunity to sell what their culture consists of. Well, John Kennedy said, all of us do not have equal talents, but all of us should have an equal opportunity to develop our talents. Barack Obama said, we have proved that the true strength of our nation comes not from the scale of our wealth, but from the power of our ideals, opportunity, democracy, liberty, and hope. I work in the beach, so okay, guys. For diversity and culture, food is just one example, as there are many things a new culture can bring into the economy. Besides, I like the fact that I can walk down the street and eat Chinese food one day and eat Indian food the next day. As I said, I work in the beach, so I like that fact that I can walk and eat whatever I want to. And I think that's it.
Okay, I read an article and they were debating if it should be illegal to drop out of high school before 18 years old, because right now it's at 16. Obama, he wants to increase the legal age to 18 to drop out. And with over 1.3 million students dropping out yearly across the nation, it become a huge problem with fiscal improvements. I'm sorry, guys, I'm really tired. If it could stop, if we stop them dropping out, then it could help with the environment, with teen pregnancies, with the work environment. When you're 16, your brain isn't fully developed yet. You don't really know what you want. Your brain doesn't stop. Sorry. No, go back. Yeah, they think that they know what they want, but their judgment's all off. They need to realize that it's really important. They don't know what real life is yet, and they think they can do whatever they want. We need to help them realize that education is very important and that they should want to stay in school, because we can't force them to, but we need them to realize that in order to not be struggling in your life, you need to finish high school. Parents who didn't go to college, they don't really force it on their kids. They don't really care too much about their education, and that stops them. It's a chain. It's not a big deal for them. They don't really need to do it, and the cycle continues. But you have the low income, of course. You're way less likely to get hired. Now everyone's it's hard to get a job, and you need at least a high school degree. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling working at McDonald's, especially with our economy today. It's a harder lifestyle, you struggle, and your children are likely to experience the same kind of struggles and lifestyles. Solutions, more activities. The parents, the schools need to be more involved. But the problem is with that, it requires more money to help this problem. Okay, go. A quote by Nelson Mandela: "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." People don't really understand how important education is. So I don't think it should be legal at 16 years old to decide if you're going to finish high school or not, because you don't even know what's going on. So should it be legal for minors to drop out of high school?
Well, as you may know, my name is Isaac Perez, and I'm going to present you the welfare recipients and undergo drug tests and restrictions. It is important, as Ronald Reagan said, we should measure welfare success by how many people live welfare and not by how many are ordered. As you can see here on this chart, the way that welfare have increased and more people has been in it has increased also the amount of money that has been invested into welfare. If you can see, since 2001, it was only $20 billion, which it's a lot of money. And nowadays, last year in 2012, it was an $89 billion that were put into welfare. That's a whole growth over probably 3 or 4 times what it used to be 10 years ago. Okay, so as the Senator Nelson said, drug abuse destroys families, harms children, and prevents individuals from living healthy, independent lives. Because TANF, it's a direct cash assistance program, we have a responsibility to ensure that these funds are not being used to support a person's drug habits. As you guys may have heard, they were trying to pass a law that it actually went through on Michigan on 1999, that everybody that's enrolled on welfare should be tested for drug abuse. On 1999, after 5 weeks, the law in Michigan just didn't went through. And the reason why it was that 4,044 patients were treated. Oh, okay. So they tried to do it on Florida. And they tried out by testing 4,044 persons. And out of those 4,044 persons, only 108 test positive. So it was a really low amount. It was even lower than the 10% of the population that were on welfare were actually using drugs. And what's even worse, the cost was $118,000 and $140,000. This is more than that would have been paid, and that was only on drug tests for all of the people that were on the welfare. That was an extra cost for the government of $45,780. So, next. So after a while, after being debating and thinking about passing the law, the Florida government, Rick Scott, called the ruling disturbing and said that the state will take up with the U.S. Supreme Court. What do you think? People should be tested for drug use if they're getting welfare? That's one question.
Who's the one that did the gun laws? Someone did it last. Hello, is it on? Who did the gun laws? Anyone? You? I'm going against you. All right, Jason. People say that if you can't own a gun legally, then you can't shoot people. Look, gun laws would prevent shooting sprees. Please tell me more about how criminals follow laws. They say that if you have a maximum amount of bullets in a magazine, you can't shoot as many people to kill them. If you ban semi-automatics, you won't be able to shoot as many people. If you limit the amount of guns they could own, you can't shoot as many people. Or if you ban guns completely, then no one could get guns. Oh, changed again already. These laws won't work because there's an illegal market, obviously, and everyone will be able to get the guns illegally if they're criminals. They won't care, and if they do buy the illegal guns, they're harder to track, so you can't catch the criminals if they get away. And if they get an illegal gun with more rounds and you have a legal gun with less rounds, it's harder to fight them. So, yeah, that's why it's harder. So I think a way that you could fight this is maybe put more officers in school, and if the staff should be allowed, if they want to get a license to own a gun and take it to school and have it somewhere safe. And if you do this, the gunner will be more hesitant about going to school if he still ends up following through. And it will be, the gunner will be more hesitant about going to that school but if he still ends up going through, it'll be easier for him to stop. Easier to stop him. Yeah. Yeah, and there's another quote by Plato. Good people don't need laws to tell them to act responsibly, and bad people will find a way around the laws. This is saying that I'm lost. I don't know. I had something to say. I don't like this camera. It's just saying that. I don't know how to explain it. So I think that's. Yeah, I've already said all of it. Oh, my bad. I wasn't telling you. So, what do you guys think about gun laws? Anyone have an opinion about it? Yeah. Exactly. And I thought this was funny. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, hi. Yeah, please. I guess it's on. Hi, I'm Esther. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about FCAT, being that FCAT exams are coming up this coming week. How many of you had to take the FCATs? Probably all of you, right? Yeah. It was implemented in 1998. That's not something I had to take when I was in high school or elementary, but my children do. And did you know that, you probably do know this, but if you don't pass the FCAT in third grade, they don't promote you to the following grade, regardless of what your GPA is throughout the school year. And same thing for high school. And in high school, if you don't pass, you don't get your high school diploma. You only get a certificate of completion, which I'm completely opposed to that. I think it's ridiculous that, they don't take into consideration how your GPA is throughout the school year. Right now my daughter, she's in third grade, so this is going to be her first year taking the FCAT. She's a nervous wreck, thinking about it. She's a relatively good student. She's always been on honor rolls, had A's and B's, but she's still very afraid of the outcome of it. And her school, thankfully, has what they call FCAT Saturdays. So they give them free tutoring on Saturdays, and the school, their curriculum this year has really been geared towards this exam. And I just think it's ridiculous that, that the teachers nowadays have to go by what this FCAT, the curriculum, geared towards passing this FCAT exam. I read an article, an interview by the Sarasota Herald Tribune to Florida Governor Rick Scott. And they asked him to respond to parents' protests with regards to the FCAT scores. And his response was that parents and taxpayers expect measurement. We've got to measure We've got to find out who the best schools are. We have to have a good measurement system, but we have to make sure we don't have too much of it. And I think that he wasn't completely true in his statement. I think that that's all that they care about is how good schools do, and the schools that don't do well are penalized. Their teachers don't get their bonuses. Some teachers are actually dismissed. There's been school closures because of it. Okay, go ahead, change. And this is just a funny cartoon about the stresses, that kids are going through with having to have to pass this exam. All right, so I've noticed, with respect to my daughter's school, that their curriculum this year has been tons of FCAT prep sheets, little dittos and things of that nature. And like I said, she goes every Saturday. She's been doing that since January, prepping for it. And I also read another article on the Fund Education Now. It says that professional educators faced with high-stake consequences are robbed of the chance to practice the art of teaching, leaving students deprived of acquiring the deep understanding of full, broad curriculum needed to compete in college. And I think that's true. If all they care about is how they can fill in a bubble, everything now has been multiple choice, where does the creativity come from? And teachers are not allowed to be able to be as creative. I found that towards the beginning of the school year, they were much more creative. They had all of their projects that they had to do, things with science and social studies. But since January, all that has stopped. It's just been FCAT, FCAT, FCAT. And it's sad. It's pretty sad. I think, I didn't have to go through that. We just had to take the Stanford Achievement Test, which was an exam that measured the progress of students with the nation, not just Florida. Okay, go ahead and change. And here's just another funny cartoon that I found, how the teacher's telling the student, to come away from the window, and she's looking out the window and seeing that she's missing out on art, PE, and other extracurricular things that they could have done if they didn't have to be constantly focusing on the FCAT. And just here, another one, the student saying, hey, don't look so nervous, I'm the one taking the test. But the teachers and schools and principals are also just as nervous because they know that if the students don't do well, their school is going to receive a lower grade, or they won't get their A if they were an A school, and could lose possible funding. Okay, go ahead. Okay, and this is a graph from 2008-2009 school year by Florida 8th grade proficiency as measured by the state of Florida. And it stated that the FCAT scores are often inflated. And as you can see, the NAEP is a National Assessment of Education Progress. So that's another test that's done nationwide. And it shows that FCAT is at 54%. And the NAEP is at 32%. Same thing for the math, 66%, and nationwide 29%. Yes. Inflated, like that it's not the accurate, an accurate assessment of in comparison to students nationwide. So it's like lifted basically. Okay, go ahead. Okay. I read an article also in the Huffington Post regarding the 2012 FCAT scores. It says that Florida parents and educators got some really bad news recently with the results of the 2012 FCATs, that the writing tests were released by state education officials. It said that this year's only 27% of third graders got a passing grade. 4 out of 6 of that year's exams compared to 81% of the year before. And 10th graders did a little better, but not much. So basically it's stating that only 1 out of 4 Florida school children can write at their grade level. So if this FCAT is supposed to make things better for students and increase their ability to read and write and math, why is it that they're still not progressing? So something's wrong with that system. And also low income and minorities are affected by the FCAT just because they don't have the same resources as schools that are in more affluent neighborhoods. And according to the FAIR Test, the National Center of Open and Fair Testing, in October of 2008, the Florida chapter of the NACP filed a federal civil rights complaint against state education departments, alleging that the FCAT discriminates against minorities, that the schools don't have the same resources as schools that are in a more affluent neighborhood. And that in 2003, approximately 12,500 Florida high school seniors were denied diplomas because they had not passed their FCAT. And that's a shame. It really is. Go ahead and change that. And that's just, them protesting. And here is just a graph from 2010 showing against male and females. Females did a little bit better than males, but as far as their heritage, it shows that the whites did best, then the Asians, then the Hispanics, and then the African Americans. And so it's obvious that, it does affect minorities more than the white students. They obviously probably have better resources. So in my experience in speaking with other parents that their children are in third grade as well, go to different schools than my daughter, they told me that they didn't have all the things that my daughter's school has. They don't have FCAT Saturdays or free tutoring. If they want to get tutoring, they have to pay for it. And I think that's a shame. If one school is offering it, all schools should offer it. And I don't know if it's because she goes to a charter school, and since even though it's publicly funded, they are privately owned, and it obviously behooves that company to make sure that the school does well. So in conclusion, I do agree that testing obviously is an important part of education, obviously. But I don't believe that the FCAT should be the all-one catch-all exam that is taken over, I think, like 3 or 4 days to determine a child's progress in their ability and what they've learned. I think it be something, but they should also take into consideration the child's GPA throughout the school year. Some kids are not good test takers, and it's a shame. It's a shame. So hopefully there's something that can be done to change the system. So I don't know if any of you agree with that. I mean, you all had to go through it. I didn't have to go through that. So that hopefully I'm a future educator. Hopefully I can, I don't know. It's a shame. I feel it's sad, a sad thing. So that's it.
That's so awkward. Huh? Okay, my presentation is on the harm of social networking and go. Okay. Addiction to instant feedback. With social media, the feedback is instant, and after posting a picture or a simple statement, they can receive gratitude and excitement from messages that are sent to them following the post. The ability to update a status or post a picture from a phone allows kids to instantly react without thinking. Go. Those are three main social networks that people use, and Facebook remains one of the top social networks. Go. Online bullying. Most recently, a college kid from Rutgers committed suicide after parts of his social life were exposed on social media. Bullying people online is easier than bullying people in person because you are behind a screen and you have time to say what you want and make the person feel bad. Bringing the self-esteem of others, and it may lead them to self-harming themselves. People are getting accustomed to quick messages and shorthand typing that will soon become a society of less social individuals and poor communication skills. So we're basically not going to be able to communicate in person because everyone's so used to communicating through social networks. And those are just pictures. Like, we didn't have
like so much technology, like iPods and iPhones and all of that, like social networking wouldn't be so popular probably. And yeah, that's my speech.
You have to wait for her to come back? What's up, guys? And my topic of choice was capital punishment. Most of you already know what it is, but just to make it clear, death penalty is a punishment of execution administered to someone of a capital crime. 35 states allow it. There are 38 executions in 2010. And the average cost of the death penalty case is $2.4 million. And I believe that the death penalty should be abolished because it's a waste of money, it's inhumane, and there's other ways to punish criminals. There's some pictures that I thought were relevant to my topic. All right, the death penalty costs taxpayers more than a life imprisonment, and statistics show that the death penalty is administered in a selective and racially discriminatory manner, and it defies the Eighth Amendment because this Eighth Amendment prohibits against cruel and unusual punishment. Continue. These are like the top 5 different types of executions: lethal injection, electric chair, gas chamber, hanging, and firing squad. And this is a quote that I found. I don't know who it was by, but it's why do we kill people who kill people to show killing people is wrong? That was cool. I don't know if you guys get it, but I continue. And yeah, I just think it should be abolished. It's stupid, and I think there's other ways that we could punish criminals. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think there's different ways that we could do it, and it costs more than putting a prisoner in life prison. Yeah. Yeah, and they do beheading too, and other stuff in different countries. Yeah, there's no, not beheading, but they still do hanging in this country and fire. Yeah, in Washington and somewhere else. Yeah, and firing squad too, where they shoot the person. Yeah, that's it.
I did mine about texting while driving, and well, like, just make sure that I don't agree that, like, it should be like law, like there should be a law that you cannot text and drive. You should be like stopped by the cops, get a ticket, or like get your license revoked, because this is a really serious thing. It's almost like next to drunk driving, because you literally do not look at the road, and you have 400% chance to actually crash another person. And I'm pretty sure everyone does it. Like I do it, and like you just look. Oh, you get a text. You look at it really fast, and you look at the road at the text at the same time, and you're like, oh crap. But so like yeah. So like if people that don't know what texting driving is, like you're driving on the road really fast, and you know you're beeping sound. And you get your text, and you're like, all right, and then you go, you look at the text, and bam, like he's dead. So like you know it's really dangerous, and like if people don't know what like texting is you're distracting while driving. Distracting while driving is when you're not looking at the road, and you like anything you're doing that's not looking at the road. So it could be texting, using a cell phone, eating, drinking, talking, grooming, putting makeup on, listening to music, if you're like changing the music, and like looking at your GPS. All that stuff is dangerous while you're on the road. So like I think like it should be a law that says you can't do it, and Florida does not have the law. Florida, there's no law in Florida that you could text. You could even use your phone. So like they say like I think on the TV that you can't use your phone when you're calling Florida. You could call and they can't stop you. But but now this is something that's new that they're trying to push through. And because text messaging requires visual, and it needs your attention. So it's like like, you know, you're more easier to crash. And these are some statistics I pulled up. And 1,600 accidents happen per year through texting, and 11 teens die every day through texting on the phone while driving. And this is like texting while driving is almost the same. Like it's the same as getting 4 years. So you can see, like, I don't know how that happens, but like. But like, yeah, so like while you're texting, it leads to 400% increase of you crashing because you're not looking at the roads. Just by not looking at the road, you could crash. And this is like some laws that are passing to ban driving, and you can see, like, some are like on the process of doing it, some are like, you know, specific like age difference and stuff like that. But you can see, like, Florida doesn't have anything. Like, you could just drive and text, and the cop could look at you, and they won't do anything. So yeah, so I just like said it, and so yeah, so like Florida has no law prohibiting or restricting drivers from sending text messages using cell phones. So. And my opinion is that, you know, I think I've said it like a couple times, that it should be banned in all states in the country, and it should be regulated and enforced. Unfortunately, you know, it sucks if you get pulled over and get like $300 ticket for looking at a text really fast, but, you know, like, don't do it. Wait until you get home, because it could, like, you know, cost you your life, and it's not a good thing. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Hello. The mic? The light's on. So, is it working? Okay. I did mine's on fossil fuels. I'm not really an issues kind of person, but I feel like there's some things that are right and there's some things that are wrong or true and false. And basically, facts are we are killing our environment, and either we're going to end up killing it or we're going to stop. So that's basically how that works. And since it's a foregone conclusion, I'm pretty much just going to... Isn't that a nice graphic, though? I liked it. That's pretty much why I did this, because the article sucks. But, yeah, so... Next slide, please. Renewable energy is getting cheaper because of machines and buildings becoming more energy efficient. And there's like 13 countries that get more than 30% of their electricity from renewable energy in 2011. So oil in cars and trucks could be halved by 2030, according to some reports. And then there's a report published by Stanford engineers showing that New York State, the big one, could easily produce the power it needs from wind, solar, and water power by 2030, which I think is kind of an impressive thing, because the fact that you could, it says, like, it was a report that published like reasonable, logical ways to have completely 100% renewable energy for the entirety of New York State. And they just did it for this one state. I think they're going to do it for California. But by 2030, which really isn't that far off. And it's those kind of things that make you wonder, like, why we're not doing that right now. But so other countries, I don't even remember what my slides are. Yeah, it said that. Okay. Other countries, like Norway, rely on, like, most of their power comes from hydroelectric. That's completely renewable. Obviously not a resource that's necessarily available to all people, but it's pretty, there's a lot of water out there. Denmark, Portugal, and Germany created financial incentives, commercial incentives to promote newer technologies like wind and solar energy, other renewable energy sources like that. And Canada produced 63.4% of its electricity from renewable sources in 2011. And the actual focus of this article was supposed to be for this. It was kind of a weird article because it was saying, oh yeah, renewable energy is good, but we still need oil. Like, it was kind of like an underlying caveat that they kind of hid underneath, but that was the like subtext of the message. And because it was promoting this Keystone XL pipeline, which instead of going that way, it's going straight, which is better according to some people, I guess. And but you know, that involves more fracking, which may or may not be bad for the general well-being of the earth. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Thanks.